Power to the truth. This is Margo. This is Tuesday, March the 19th, 2019, 3:57 p.m. Pacific Time, United States of America. So, we've got sulfur dioxide pulled up here on CAMS with the Pacific view. CAMS does not have any new methane data up yet. The latest they have is from Wednesday of last week, which I showed yesterday. So I thought we'd just look at sulfur dioxide quickly. This is from today, the 19th. And this reddish area that's coming down from the Aleutian Islands down into the Pacific is the leftover sulfur dioxide plume when we saw that large release from that volcano at Kamchatka a few days ago from Bezimiani. So this is the remnants of that. So it still looks pretty heavy in sulfur dioxide. And then we've got these volcanoes going off and more sulfur dioxide being released. We have a lot of volcanoes going off. None like that was, though. And so this is what it looks like when you just run the sulfur dioxide movie. Now when you run it in the forecast period on CAMS, the red that you see coming out is what they predict to be coming out from their past data. But when you have an explosion like we did from up here at Bezimiani, you know, that can't be predicted. That was not in the forecast period, and so that's, you only see that data from that one day. And then what you have is the remnants of that. So we've got quite a bit coming out of China right now. And by the way, China and Russia are having earthquakes that are not being picked up by the USGS. And I don't go into great detail about following every single earthquake around the world. I have enough to do with just bringing you methane and other greenhouse gases and some news items and you know, climate change reporting and sea ice and earthquakes now. So that's my main focus. So I do earthquakes primarily that are reported from the USGS, and that seems that gives us a pulse on what's going on with Mother Earth. So I will pause this and leave it as a backdrop now. And we'll get right into news items. I've got quite a few. I wasn't going to be doing a whole bunch of news items, but people like them, and I like them. I like sharing them, and things are happening so fast. I swear, it's like every day is a lifetime. And if I don't do news items, then we don't know what's going on. And so as we look at these news items, and you can see the patterns and put the dots together for yourself. So my lead story today is from Sam Carana's blog, Arctic News, and it's arctic-news.blogspot.com. And this is his latest blog post from today, March 19th, 2019. And it's called Stronger Extinction Alert. So this is pretty detailed. I'm not going to go over every single word in it. I will leave the link below, and you're more than welcome to read it for yourself. But according to Sam Carana, it's going to be even hotter than we expected, and we're not even going to be around to see the hottest part once the heat really gets going. So he's expecting this to be an extinction level event with the heat. So he says the February 2019 temperature is in line with an earlier analysis that 2019 could be 1.85 degrees C above pre-industrial, and that a rapid temperature rise may take place over the next few years, as illustrated by the image on the right. Let's walk through the steps once more. The combination image below shows that the February 2019 temperature was 0.93 degrees Celsius above a 1951 to 1980 baseline left, and 1.21 degrees Celsius above 1885 to 1915 baseline right, a difference of 0.28 degrees Celsius. The reason he goes into all of this is because the climate scientists can't all agree on what to use as the baseline to start from when they start measuring the heating. So some only measure from 1951, some measure from 1885, some even measure before 1885, and it all started with the Industrial Revolution, when we started with the pollution and the carbon, and it all started then, and the increase of the population of the world. And so Sam Carana, one thing I like about Sam Carana is that he factors in a whole bunch of different things that other people don't. Other people are kind of linear, but Sam Carana goes, he's multidimensional with factoring in the heating elements. And so he says, so we'll just cut to the chase. And they're saying NASA temperatures for oceans are the surface temperatures of the water, but it makes more sense to use air temperatures close to the water, which likely adds a further 0.1 degrees Celsius. This adds a total adjustment of 0.78 degrees Celsius as applied in the red graph, etc., etc. So that's another way, that just an example of how Sam Carana is multidimensional and considers things that other just climate scientists just consider linear things. And so the bottom line is, though, let me find it here. It kind of blew my mind when I saw this posted today, and he kind of outlined the bottom line in his blog post, and okay, here we go for the bottom line. Trend analysis that uses data going back many years can only be part of the picture. It's also important to anticipate changes that could occur in the near future. When taking the many feedbacks, tipping points, and further warming elements more fully into account, the temperature could rise even more strongly than is pictured in the red trend in the image at the top, and there could be an, are you sitting down? 18 degrees Celsius rise by the year 2026. 18 degree Celsius rise by the year 2026, and it's higher than that in Fahrenheit. In the graph at the top, the vertical axis is cut off at 5 degrees C, since life on Earth will already have disappeared by then. So he's talking about this red line. This red line he anticipates that it could go up 18 degrees Celsius by 2026. But it doesn't matter, because by the time we reach 5 degrees Celsius, there's not going to be any life on the planet. So this is an even higher number than he's predicted in the past. I think I've seen like 10 degrees Celsius rise in the past, but now here are all his factors that he factors in here for 2026. Now we're right here right now. According to all of his factors, we're right here. 2019, we're at 1.85 degrees Celsius. At 2020, he anticipates it to be at 2 degrees Celsius. At 2021, he anticipates it to be at almost 3 degrees Celsius. At 2022, he anticipates it to be at almost 4 degrees Celsius. So it's like going up a degree every year once you get past 2020. So we're already well into 2019. We're basically 3 months into 2019 now. So we'll be at this number before long. And the Paris Climate Accord and IPCC and all those say, oh, we have to keep the warming to 1.75 or no more than 2 degrees. Well, that's not going to happen. That's just not going to happen, because by the end of this year, we're going to be at 2. That's what he's saying. Or close to 2. By the end of 2019, it will be 1.85 degrees, and we might already be there. I don't know. And then by 2020, by the end of 2020, we'll be at 2 degrees. So, and we've seen all this crazy weather and all the changes and everything. Just with what we've been witnessing, and with not even 2 degrees Celsius rising, much less 2.85 or 3 degrees Celsius. So we can just expect more awful things happening with hurricanes and cyclones and destructive weather and tornadoes and the heating and the cooling and the jet stream. And we're in the throes of it right now. We're absolutely in the throes of it. And I'd like to thank Sam Carana for posting this. He's really good at keeping us on track of where we are and letting us know where we are from the climate science and all the science viewpoint and all that stuff. He's got all the data right here. So if you want to read it, you can go right there. But I already read you the bottom line. So there you go. And he factors in, let's see if we can get that a little bigger. He factors in, like when you look at all these colors over here, clouds feedback, he factors in 8 degrees from clouds feedback. He factors in further methane, nitrogen dioxide, nitrous oxide, carbon dioxide, extra water vapor, seafloor methane, snow, ice, wind, and ocean changes, black carbon and brown carbon, falling away of sulfate cooling, So that's where, if you're not producing, if like people are dying to the point where they're not putting more sulfates up in the atmosphere, or if you're going green and not burning fossil fuels, you won't have that sulfates up in the atmosphere. And so with the fall away of that sulfate cooling, he anticipates almost 2 degrees rise in temperature, 1.9. Carbon dioxide, and here is the rise from 1750 to 2019, right there. So he's starting at the base of 1.85 degrees Celsius rise through 2019. So that's what he's starting with, and he already, in the paper, he goes through why he comes up with that number of 1.85 degrees. So he's the only one I know that breaks all of these factors down. And you can see that as the years go by, more and more and more of these things come into play, and you can see that the sulfate falling away of sulfate cooling gets larger and larger and larger year by year. As either we die or they just go green. But then we can always have a bunch of nuclear power plants blow up, and all of this would be a moot point. So I will leave the link to that paper below. So that's a sobering headline to start with. And now, getting on with our next news item. This is a follow-up from the fireball that NASA didn't tell us about from December 18th of 2018. This was published today from metafilter.com. You didn't see that big fireball in December, neither did astronomers. It was only the third biggest bolide to enter Earth's atmosphere on record, so astronomers can be forgiven for missing it at the time. Now, after sifting through data obtained from monitors meant to detect illicit nuclear detonations, a Canadian scientist has determined that a meteor approximately 10 to 14 meters or 33 to 46 feet in diameter streaking over Kamchatka, Siberia on December 18, 2018 at about 11:48 a.m. local time exploded over the Bering Sea with the energy of about 173 kilotons of TNT. And it turns out we also have pictures. But you know what I don't buy is the other article said that the U.S. Air Force saw it, and they told NASA about it. So this just looks like a cover story to me, and they're trying to explain about why we didn't see it and why we didn't know about it and all this stuff. But anyway, if you want to read this article, you can. So it just sounds like they're just covering their tracks more, and they're, I just find it hard to believe that someone, a Canadian scientist, figured all this out. I just find it hard to believe. So that's a little follow-up story on that. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. And now we're going to follow up on our Cyclone Trevor that's making landfall in Queensland down under. This is from news.com.au, and this is from March 20th, which is tomorrow. So this was published down there in Australia, so it's already the 20th there, so it's from today for people in the United States. Tropical Cyclone Trevor chaos. Queensland lashed as the system barrels toward its next target. They had Cyclone Trevor has lashed Queensland with wind gusts of more than 220 kilometers per hour. Its next target could be hit even harder. Let's see what that is in miles per hour. Hang on. Convert kph to mph. For those of us who don't know kilometers per hour, so what was that? 220? 220. That's 136 miles per hour. That was high. That is definitely high. Those were the gusts. So here's a video about it.
Cyclone Trevor is threatening communities in far west Queensland, in particular
Threatening locations in Queensland. It's crossed the Queensland coast, bringing destructive rains. It's currently Category 3, but expected to strengthen to a Category 4 by landfall. Category 4 storms are classified as severe with gusts to 279 kilometers per hour. At this stage, it's moving at 9 kilometers per hour. And they want people to stay inside and out of harm's way. So there's a picture. Look at that. So there's the cyclone, and everyone's on lockdown. It crossed the coast south of Lockhart River on the Cape York Peninsula in the far north of the state on Tuesday night. The storm is expected to weaken to a Category 1 system as it crosses the Cape York Peninsula before re-intensifying to a Category 4 on its way towards the Northern Territory. Category 4 storms are classed as severe and can lead to significant roofing loss and structural damage. Caravans are likely to be blown away. Dangerous debris can become airborne and power can fail. Isolated gusts can reach 279 kilometers per hour, which is 173 miles per hour. So that is really high. Look at that tree that got blown over. Poor tree. On Tuesday afternoon, the BOM warned Trevor could bring significant impacts to the Cape York Peninsula with very destructive winds, storm tides, and abnormally high tides and heavy rainfall, slow moving at just 9 kilometers per hour. Its effect could be exacerbated with persistent and heavy rainfall over a concentrated area. Cooktown could see between 250 to 450 millimeters of rain over the next 3 days. So there's where they're tracking the storm. They've told people to stay inside, check your emergency kits, first aid, etc., etc. In Cairns, Rain showers and storms will be heavy at times, with a weekly total most likely between 200 and 400 millimeters. Townsville looks to escape the heavy falls with a weekly total likely to slot between 60 and 120 millimeters. That was the area that got so much rain before that everything got flooded. As we move through the week, that system will move into the Gulf of Carpentaria before re-deepening into a tropical cyclone and then moving into inland areas of the Northern Territory. That's good news for farmers in Queensland and New South Wales who will see extra moisture. So it's going to move across here and then come over here into the Northern Territory. And so they're expecting it to impact large areas, and they don't know exactly where it's going to hit. But we can do our own weather reporting on Climate Reanalyzer. We can see it's the red part. Here is the cyclone up here on that peninsula, and it's already made landfall and moving across. And then we can see it on NASA Worldview. Here it is from today, where it's making landfall, and we can see, like all of this area is getting rain. And we can see the eye has tightened up, it's intensified. Here it was yesterday, and here it is today with it making landfall. And so the eye is moving onto land now, and it's going to go all the way across and then come over this Gulf of Carpentaria and pick up steam again, and they're expecting it to go into a Category 4 storm and then make landfall down here somewhere. So there's that. So we will keep tracking that cyclone for all of my friends down under. Next, so we're going to keep all of these people in our prayers too. This is from USA Today. This has been in the news here in the United States. I don't know if it has been internationally, but there's a fire, large fire at Houston chemical plant, expected to burn for days. And look at the video. There were these storage tanks that caught on fire, and now 7 of these tanks are on fire. This story is from today. It was a petrochemicals terminal near Houston, and it's likely to burn for another 2 days. And you can see that black smoke on the video. Okay, so, well, we'll leave that going so you can see the smoke. A large fire at a Houston area petrochemicals terminal will likely burn for another 2 days, authorities said Monday, noting the air quality around the facility was testing within normal guidelines. Well, I don't know how that can be normal. The fire erupted Sunday, and this is Tuesday, at Intercontinental Terminals Company in Deer Park, about 15 miles southeast of Houston. Well, that's still running. Firefighters were working to control the blaze, and the company said the risk of explosion remained minimal. ITC has said all employees have been accounted for and no injuries have been reported. A huge plume of smoke could be seen for miles, including from the Galveston Ferry, about 35 miles or 55 kilometers southeast of the blaze. Officials estimated the plume rose 3,000 feet or 914 meters to 4,000 feet, 1,219 meters into the air. The company said the fire spread to 7 storage tanks holding components of gasoline and also used in nail polish remover, glues, and paint thinner. The ITC initially said the fire had spread to 8 tanks, but company official David Wascom scaled back the number Monday, saying one of the tanks was empty. Monday afternoon, close that now. ITC spokeswoman Alice Richardson said fire crews had made progress battling the blaze as 3 of the tanks were now only intermittently on fire. A report done by the Center for Toxicology and Environmental Health, a local environmental consultant hired by ITC, shows the air quality around the facility was below levels that would represent a health concern. Data for the company's report was collected from multiple locations in Deer Park and in surrounding communities from Sunday through Monday morning. So, that's got to be toxic. Can you imagine? And they're monitoring the air quality. I wouldn't be able to breathe that. I already know that. They're telling people to shelter in place. And Deer Park has about 34,000 residents. So, I'll leave the link below in case people want to read this. And here's where it's located. I couldn't see anything on NASA Worldview as far as the smoke. It's pretty cloudy there right now. So, I couldn't really see it. So, there's that. So that's got to be toxic coming up into the air. And next, we have another fire. This one was put out, at least. This one only burned 2 hours. This is from KTLA.com, Los Angeles. This is from March 17th. 2 hospitalized after 9,000-gallon tanker leaks gasoline and catches fire in South LA, Los Angeles. A leaking 9,000-gallon tanker triggered an explosion in South Los Angeles that injured 2 people, displaced 30 people, and sent up heavy plumes of smoke visible from miles away on Sunday morning. Crews responded to this address and reported, after a 911 caller reported smelling natural gas at 7:45 a.m. As firefighters surveyed the caller's home, they heard an explosion next door. Crews then discovered a large tanker that had been leaking gasoline. Fumes went into a storm drain and ignited, sending at least 1 manhole cover into the air. Well, it wasn't just fumes, it was gasoline. It was a gasoline truck, and I read one report where the gasoline had been leaking from the tanker and was going down into the storm drain. The flames damaged a 2-story home during the blast, according to the fire department. And then, so there was fire coming out of the storm drain because the gasoline had gone down there too. And so family members said the 2 victims and a mother and her teenage daughter were burned from flames They came out of the manhole covers. One of the victims was seriously hurt, while the other sustained minor injuries. A total of 10 adults and 3 children had to leave their homes after the explosion. It took 72 firefighters nearly 2 hours to extinguish the blaze. Officials shut down Slauson Avenue between Broadway and Main Street as personnel investigated the scene. About 30 residents of the neighborhood were forced to evacuate, etc. And here's a map of the area. Natural gas leak, but it was a tanker. So anyway, we're going to see more and more and more of this, is what I'm saying. So we gotta let this little ad run through. They always have to put an ad. I want to see the explosion. I want to see where it was burning. Anyway, so I will leave the link below if people want to see that article. And then my last story for today, and then we'll get right into earthquakes. This is from Anchorage Press from Alaska. This is from 16 hours ago, so today, or yeah, close to today, or yesterday. Lack of ice and climate change creating fear in Alaska. Subsistence hunting is becoming a key issue as food becomes more scarce. Let's see if we can do clean reader on this. We can't see the pictures. A serious subsistence food shortage has hit some coastal villages in the high Arctic regions in Alaska, leaving villagers to wonder how they will respond to a brand new challenge: the fast disappearance of their hunting grounds by a lack of sea ice. It's getting scary, one tribal leader said. One of the villages is Ignaluk, the most remote Aboriginal village in America. It's located on Little Diomede, only 3 miles from the Russian Federation's Big Diomede, or Diomede. But it might as well be time to worry and worry some more. The once thick, solid ice used to provide a landing field for small aircraft to flying supplies and food from the mainland is now gone. We have to get a helicopter to fly out here now. You get tired real quick of canned food, but that's all we have. Hunting out on the sea ice for seals and other sea mammals has provided little to nothing lately. The ice went away way too early this year, maybe a month or 2 ago, like last year too. Ice around the island used to be 15 to 20 feet thick all winter. Now it's about 3 feet to 5 feet thick at the most. There's no heavy ice like there used to be when I was small. So see, we've been showing this, we've been talking about this. Asked what the villagers will do, Angika said, "We'll do the best we can. I can't get meat and the store has no freezer. We asked Senator Lisa Murkowski to help us on that, but nothing's been done yet." We've gone out crabbing due to thin ice or no ice at all. Under normal conditions, Alaska Native hunters of all three villages would be out on the ice daily searching for seals, walrus, and beluga whales, and for their most prized game animal from the sea, the bearded seal or ugruk, a local elder said this week. So they've been documenting ice changes in the Arctic and Bering Seas for several years now. Peggy monitors water temperatures, saltiness, and other signs up to a depth of 230 feet below the water surface, and it's anchored to the seafloor west of Alaska. That's a buoy named Peggy. Peggy's research data is alarming. In 2018, data from Peggy said Arctic water was warming at a rate that could spell trouble for sea life that exists from the sea floor to fish, crab, and humans on top. There were early signs that conditions in the winter of 2017 to 2018 were going to be different. By November 2017, the sea ice was already late. And so on and so forth. So, there's that story. Let's see if there are any pictures we can see. Population of 90 people. There's the open water. It used to be very thick sea ice. And see, there's open water again. So we can just expect to see more and more stories like this as the Arctic keeps melting and things just keep warming up. I mean, we can just expect to see things like this. So it's sad, but we're all going to go the way of the dodo bird real soon. Real soon. So now let's get into earthquakes. I have USGS pulled up here for all magnitudes for the last 24 hours, and we're showing 275 earthquakes around the world. So that's an uptick in the number. Of those, we have 38 that are 2.5 magnitude and higher. So we're going to start with this 3.6 up here in Kodiak, Alaska, that came in yesterday at 4:44 p.m. I don't know if it was on the map when I did my report, so I'm going to cover that. There might be a little overlap period here today. So I'm starting with that one. And then we're going to move down to South America, and we've got two on the map for the last 24 hours. The first one was this 4.0 near Coquimbo, Chile at 4:56 yesterday afternoon, 69 kilometers deep. And then a 4.6 near Abrapampa, Argentina, that came in at 9:23 this morning, 254 kilometers deep. So this was a deep one, and that's going to cause tectonic plates to move. with it being that deep, 254 kilometers. While we're over here, let's check out this one in the South Atlantic Ocean. A 5.1 came in near Bouvet Island at 8:26 last night, right on the red line. I'm assuming that was in the ocean. I didn't really zoom in enough to see. Yeah, here's Bouvet Island, and so it's to the east of that, so that's in the ocean on the red line. Now let's move across, and it looks like we've got two in the New Zealand area. The first one was a 4.8 up here in the Kermadec Island region near L'Esperance Rock, New Zealand at 5:32 this morning. And then the second one was a 4.6 off the northern coast of the northern island of New Zealand, right here in the Bay of Plenty. It was a 4.6 that came in at 10:39 this morning, 173 kilometers deep. Now these times are Pacific time, because that's my time zone that I'm reporting from. Next was a 4.8 near Nuku'alofa, Tonga at 3:15 this afternoon, 216 kilometers deep. So that's another fairly deep one. Next was a 5.0 near Luganville, Vanuatu at 9:20 last night, 138 kilometers deep. We can see that's in the ocean. Next, coming around, we have two right here near Tobelo, Indonesia. The first one was a 4.9 on land that happened at 7:39 this morning, 62 kilometers deep. And then a 4.8 in the ocean off the coast of Tobelo at 3:12 this afternoon, 31 kilometers deep. Coming over here to Sumatra was a 4.4 near Kota Tua, Indonesia at 11:17 this morning, 53 kilometers deep. Now, on this red line next to the Philippines was a 4.9 near Sulangan, Philippines at 1:01 this morning, 58 kilometers deep. Here's one off the coast of Taiwan, a 4.4 near Yilan, Taiwan at 9:01 last night, 83 kilometers deep. Now on this red line of 4.7 near Farallon de Pajaros, Northern Mariana Islands at 3:50 this morning. Coming on up to Kamchatka. Everyone should know this Kamchatka Peninsula right now. 4.2 near Petropavlovsk, Kamchatsky, Russia, last night at 8:31 p.m., 35 kilometers deep. So that was in the ocean. So nothing else being reported from China and Russia or Europe or Africa for that matter. Now let's go to all magnitudes, and look at Hawaii real quick. Wow, look at this uptick. We've got 13 here today. We've got some bigger ones right up here at Mauna Loa. I'll call them off. 1.9, 1.6, 0.7, and this 0.7 was at a minus 0.1 kilometers depth, so that was up in the crater. That looks like that was at Kilauea. 2.0, 1.8, that was at a minus 1.7 kilometers depth. Napupu, Hawaii, but this was at Mauna Loa. See, right there. So I'll zoom back out now. 1.8 at a minus 0.2 kilometers depth. 2.0, 2.5, 1.8, 1.9, 2.1 at a minus 1.1 kilometers depth, 2.0 at minus 0.3 kilometers depth, 2.3 at minus 0.9 kilometers depth, and this one just came in. 2.1 near Pepikio at 3:55 this afternoon, 37 kilometers depth. Now, I want to look a little more closely. See these at Mauna Loa? All of these were at a negative depth, meaning that the earthquake happened up in the chamber, either in the mountain or in the volcano itself, in the crater. That's what that means. And then here's Kilauea. So one happened actually in the crater, this one, and that was at a minus 0.2 kilometers depth. This one, the 0.7, was a minus 0.1 kilometers depth. This one was a 1.8. So this is building. These are definitely building 2.5, and we're seeing higher numbers here, and Hawaii is not done with their volcanoes. It's still very active. Now let's move on over to the Dominican Republic. We've got 16 here today. I'll just call them off. 1.9, 3.2, 2.0, 1.5, 2.7, 2.1, 2.7, 3.1, 3.0, 2.5, 2.2, 2.2, 2.2, 1.5, 3.0, and 3.1. So we're seeing these threes in this area to the northeast of this Dominican Republic area, and then we're seeing a cluster down here on the southwest corner of Puerto Rico, more in the 2s range. So we're going to keep an eye on all of these. That's not enough to cause damage, but it is showing movement. Now let's move on up to the Alaska area. We're showing 53 on the map here today. Now remember, Alaska averages between 50 and 100 earthquakes a day. It's a very seismically active region with earthquakes and volcanoes. So we had a 4.1 near Montignac Island, Alaska at 9:25 this morning. So we're just starting with the 2.5 magnitude and higher. Here's a 2.7 near Nikiski at 8:20 last night. 3.5 near Cantwell at 7:39 last night. That one was 111 kilometers deep. Then a 2.5 near Cantwell at 11:52 this morning, 101 kilometers deep. Then at Kobuk, remember we've been seeing clusters up here. We had a 3.0 at 7:08 last night at a 0.1 kilometers depth. Quite shallow. Quite shallow. And then a 2.5 at 8:54 this morning. And at Koktovik, we had a 3.0 at 1:45 this morning at a 0 kilometers depth, very shallow, and a 2.8 at 1:52 this morning at 0 kilometers depth. So those were 7 minutes apart, right at the surface, 0 kilometers depth. Now let's look at more detail with all magnitudes. Here's 2.2 Larsen Bay, 2.4 Larsen Bay, 1.9 King Salmon. Remember, Redoubt volcano's right over here. Here's this Cook Inlet. Here's a 1.7, 2.0, 2.1 near Redoubt volcano. This one was at 5:30 last night, or yesterday, 131 kilometers deep. 2.1 near Redoubt at 9:48 last night. 2.7 Nikiski, already showed that. 1.9 Nikiski. And looks like Anchorage is clustering again. We have 17 on the map here today. These are small. These are ones. Here's a 2, 2.0, 2.0, 2.4. So they're in the twos, mid to low twos to ones range. All of those. And we saw this, okay, there's a 2.0 at Valdez, 1.7 at Cordova, and then we're seeing them follow this mountain range around this Atlas, Alaska, that's the Alaska range. They're following that around. Well, here, this is, so we've got 3 in a row right there, and one just came in at 1.4 near Talkeetna, 1.5, 1.3, all this afternoon. So that's showing activity. There's that 3.5. Here's a new one that just came in at 1.4 near Badger. Now let's look at Kobuk. And we've got 4 here. We've got a 3.0, 2.1 at 0 kilometers depth, a 1.4, and a 2.5. And then look at Koktovik. They've got 4 up here. 2.3, 3.0 at 0 kilometers depth, 2.8 0 kilometers depth, and 1.5. Now coming down to the lower 48, we've got 2 showing in the New Madrid seismic zone here, or hazard zone. We've got a 1.3 near Tiptonville, Tennessee at 6:49 this morning, and a 1.7 near Blytheville, Arkansas at 7:53 this morning. Then moving on around, we've got this 2.7 at Blanchard, Oklahoma at 9:04 last night, 2.6 near Hennessy, Oklahoma at 9:38 this morning, and 1.6 near Anthony, Kansas at 3:33 this morning. And then 2.8 near Pecos, Texas at 4:30 this morning. Coming on around, Colorado is clear, Arizona is clear. Let's look at Utah. Utah is showing activity. We've got 8 here today. We've got this 1.1 near Manti, 2.2 near Centerfield at 4:43 this morning. Here are 3 at Farron, 1.9, 1.6, and 1.3. And here are 3 at East Carbon City, 1.8, that was minus 3.3 kilometers deep, so that's up in the mountain, pretty high. 2.1 and 1.4 at a minus 1.9 kilometers deep. This one came in at 1:59 this afternoon. We got those. Yeah. Okay, coming on up into the Yellowstone area. We've got 14, so we have an uptick in the number here. Let's start with these 2 blasts. A 1.7 magnitude quarry blast near Townsend, Montana at 10:56 this morning, and minus 2 kilometers depth. And another 1.9 magnitude quarry blast near Butte, Montana at 12:01 this afternoon at a minus 2 kilometers depth. That's a real good idea to just be blasting at Yellowstone, in the Yellowstone area, on the edge of a huge caldera. That just makes a lot of sense to me. 1.4 at Lincoln, Montana at 1:23 this afternoon. 0.7 near West Yellowstone, Montana. 1.5 near Old Faithful Geysers. And then we've got this cluster here, minus 0.3 Old Faithful, 0.4 Old Faithful, 1.4 Old Faithful Geyser, 1.1 Old Faithful Geyser. So all of those are considered Old Faithful Geyser. And 1.1, that one is too. And a 0.8 near Driggs, Idaho. but it's in Wyoming there. Moving across in the Pacific Northwest. Up here in Washington, we have 2 on the map at 2.9 near Bryant, Washington at 8:39 this morning. That's getting on up there. That could be a 3. 2.9 could be a 3. And a 0.7 near Mattawa or Mattawa, Washington at 11:54 this morning. Not seeing anything in Oregon. Wow, look at Northern California. Look at all of these circles here. They've been busy. They have been busy today. We're going to start over here on this 2.8 on this fork, this red line, the San Andreas fault line coming up right to the Juan de Fuca plate where everything forks and comes together. 2.8 at 9:27 this morning. They're calling it near Petrolia. That's the reporting station. And there was a 1.4 northeast of that at near Ferndale at 3:44 this afternoon. And then there was a 1.8 down southeast of that near Redway at 6:31 last night. So it makes a little triangle there. Moving on across. Check all these out. Check them out. We're going to start up here. Here's a 1.6 near Round Mountain at 6:43 this morning. Here's a 1.2 near Manton last night at 7:06 p.m. Here's a 1.0 near Mineral at 1:22 this afternoon. Here's a 0 magnitude earthquake near Mineral at 4:42 this morning. 1.3 near Lake Almanor at 3:49 this morning. A 1.0 near Westwood at 9:37 last night. Now let's see where this is in respect to Oroville. Now those are all north. Here's Oroville. Remember, we're tracking all of Oroville. Here's Paradise, the town that burned up. So these are not too far. These are just north of Paradise. Paradise is right in here. So those are all north, and in this volcanic area. Then moving on over, we've got 2 near Cold Springs, Nevada, a 0.1 at 5:25 yesterday in the afternoon, and a 0.8 at 8:36 last night. Coming on down. Reno's clear, Carson City is clear, Lake Tahoe is clear, Pyramid Lake is clear. Then we're seeing them come into the Hawthorne area. We've got this cluster down at Hawthorne. We're showing 5 on the map today. They're small. This one is a 2.5. That looks like the biggest one that came in at 1:10 this morning. And then these are in the ones, 1.2 and 1.3. There's a .8 near Gabbs, minus .5 near Hawthorne. And then here's Goldfield. Remember, we were seeing clusters down here. Another cluster today. We've got 9 here today. It started last night at 7:30. And the last one we thought was at 2:22 this afternoon. So that's just ongoing down at Goldfield. Then down here in southern Nevada, here's another wow. Okay, we got 4 right here at Beatty. These are microquakes, under 1s. And so we just got a lot of activity going on. These are small. I think that's it for Nevada. Now, let's look at Mammoth Lakes next. California. We've got 10 here today. 0.4, 1.1, 1.1, 0.1, 0.4, 0.4, 1.1, 0.2, 0.4, and 0.4. So that's still a large number down there. Here's this one in the mountain, a 1.2 near Kernville. And then these are at Coso Junction. We've got 34. Are you kidding me? Normally we see, maybe 3 or 4, 5, 6, 10, 34 today. Oh my gosh. And little ones lead to bigger ones. Here's I'm just going to go over the bigger ones. 2.1, 2.0. Then the rest of these are 1s and under. Here's a 2.0. Oh my gosh, 34. Something's going on. Something is building big here. That's my thought. Let's see if any of these are at negative depth. And the first one was a 1.1 at 6:04 last night. And then they just go and go and go. Every few minutes, go and go and go. Through the night, into the day. Okay, this one is at a minus 0.3 kilometers depth. This 1.5 that came in at 4:13 this afternoon. Then the last one that's registered was a 1.2 that came in at 5:06 this afternoon. So if you want to zoom in and look at that cluster, that's all. They're all piled up right there. Look at that. 3 all coming in right at the same time. Okay, moving on down. We've got a 1.2 magnitude quarry blast near Mojave. Now in Southern California, here's a 1.1 magnitude quarry blast in the Chocolate Mountains. Here's a 1.4 magnitude quarry blast near Rancho San Diego. And looking at Southern California, we've got 30 here today. So, which of these are 2.5 magnitude and higher? None. So these are under 2.5 magnitude, but the little ones count. That's a 2.4 near Anza. So we've seen clustering over here and over here at Kauai. So we got 21 on the map in these clusters today. So now let's come up this San Andreas fault line. Did I see this one? Kernville, yes, I saw that one. We've got a 1.4 quarry blast, 1.4 magnitude quarry blast near Aromas, California, right on the San Andreas fault line. Right on the fault line. At 1:36 this afternoon at a minus 0.1 kilometers depth. That just makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Look at all these in the San Francisco area. Here's a 2.3 near Alum Rock, 0.9 near Alum Rock, 1.1 near Alum Rock. Here's a 1.3 near Diablo. That one just came in at 4:49 this afternoon. Here's a 1.0 near Daly City in the ocean there. Here's one in the bay, a 1. What? Oh, it's right on the coast. I thought it was in the water. 1.2 magnitude quarry blast right on the coast at Santa Venetia, California at 11:32 this morning. Surface level. A lot of blasting today. 1.3 near Santa Rosa. And now let's see if we can guess how many are at the geysers. There are 27 here today. Ones and under. 1.9 looks like might be the highest one here today. There's a 1.4 and the rest of them are, here's a 1.9, 1.1, 1.6, 1.4, and the rest are under 1. I think that's a wrap. Well, so now we got 279. Uh-oh. Looky what we got down here. We got a new one that just came in off the coast of Mexico. A 4.2 near Puerto Madero, Mexico at 4:39 this afternoon, 39 kilometers deep in the ocean. That one just came in. We saw that one at Tonga. We saw all of these others. So I think that's a wrap. So, you know, one thing that bothers me about that explosion over the Bering Sea, that meteor that blew up or whatever it was that we don't know. You know, it bothers me that 3 months later they're finally coming out with it. And, you know, I don't know what to believe and what not to believe. And I believe that they are coming out with it now because we're going to be seeing more come in. And it's like a soft disclosure, and But what bothers me is we don't know what they're hiding. You know, if they'll hide that, what else are they hiding? Or what else will they lie about? I don't know. It's just something to think about and something to discern. And we need to be discerning. And we need to go within and get our own answers. So I love you guys. I think time is very short. Time to get your spiritual houses in order. So until next time, God bless you. Go in peace and goodbye.